What's up, everybody? Federlock. And I figured, since I've been playing my Marauder like constantly here, that I would go ahead and kind of show you when I play a spec what I'm trying to accomplish whenever I'm in a war zone as far as rotation goes. Obviously, when you're playing PvP, there's a lot of factors that come into play to whether or not how you're gonna do your rotation, because most of the time, especially being a melee class, you're either rooted, stunned, uh, snared. So there's a lot of factors that come into play, but this is going to at least show what I'm trying to accomplish when I'm not being focused, and when I'm, pretty much, hey, nobody's focusing me. All right. But anyway, there's a spec. I've been tinkering with the utilities since 3.0. And this is what I've found to be, as far as Warzone goes, what I like to do best. These three here pretty much, I've tinkered around. I just don't know about getting rage. I don't find rage being an issue too much with any of the specs as far as the Marauder goes. I did have this to generate 4 rage when you get stunned, immobilized, since you're always getting rooted and knocked around. So this one's still kind of good to have. I didn't really have the overwhelm too much, because the root on the ravage is nice, but so if I would change out anything, it would probably be this for that. Only reason why I like the Cloak of Carnage is because it adds the 4 extra seconds to your Cloak of Pain. The damage really isn't that great. I think it's like 430, that extra 15%, but it's more so of being able to sustain that 20% damage reduction for that extra 4 seconds, which helps out a little bit. As far as the masterful utilities go, the AoE reduction, sometimes I don't take this. Sometimes I take, especially for Annihilation, I like to go with this Interceptor, because it makes Force Rend act as a snare, which I find that in the Annihilation spec, it helps out a lot. Like if somebody's at range, because your Force Rend ability, I want to say it's a 10 meter, so it's kind of like having a nice little medium distance snare. And that's more what I use it for, because the damage from Force Rend really isn't all that great. 6,018 seconds. So really, it kind of turns Force Rend into a snare. But as far as like the Fury spec, since you have Obliterate, I don't find that I need it that much. So I went ahead and got the 30% damage reduction. I've been getting displacement because of the fact that you can use Cloak of Pain while stunned. A lot of times, for me anyway, I find in the beginning when I was playing my Marauder class in general, Cloak of Pain was one of the things I always forgot to do. Well, now when you're stunned and you can't do anything else, at least you can pop your Cloak of Pain. You know you're getting smacked down on, and 20% reduction. Any little bit helps to survive. I think in Arena, it would probably be better to lower your interrupt here with subjugation and strangulate, maybe to reduce your force choke. But I haven't done much arenas, so I don't really know. The little bit of arenas I've done, when I've come across teams that are really focused, I don't do too well. They pretty much focus me down, and I don't have much time to do anything, so I don't know about that. Maybe getting Phantom might be better to stay camouflage for 2 extra seconds, just so you can not be focused 2 extra seconds, and then you get a little boost on your camouflage. That might be better for arenas too. But as far as Warzone goes, these are the two I find. For Fury is what I like to do. Unbound to make your predation super bad, but to keep up with, I like this to transition fast. I like it because it removes any of the roots of snares that you have on you. And I also like it, it's kind of like the counter for power techs and mercenaries slash commandos, whenever mostly power techs and vanguards, when they pop their hold the line or hydraulic override, and they're kicking butt going around 80% speed for that 10 seconds. Well, popping predation pretty much lets me keep smacking them down while they're running around in circles. The distance factor doesn't become an issue with this. So this kind of helps for those kind of classes, as well as the transitioning. And I also like to get the force camouflage removes all cleansable effects. This is really nice for when you do camo. You don't have to worry about being snared. The snare comes off, and you can close the distance. It helps when snipers throw their kickback and you're just sitting there going, and they're sitting there cranking up that big snipe hit or ambush hit, and you can force camo and it breaks the route, and you can come right up behind them and pop, pop, pop. So it works real good for that. So this is what I've been sticking with for war zones. I've tried, I know in some of my videos, I think I've tried the Undying Rage extra 2 seconds. That's kind of helped. That might be good for arena. Again, I haven't been playing much rated. I tried. I've gotten to the queue and I just picked bad times. I mean, after 30 minutes and the thing doesn't pop, I'm like, all right, I'm going back Warzone because I want to play. My time to play is limited. So anyway, this is the utilities that I pretty much go with on all the specs, except for, like I had mentioned earlier, Annihilation. I usually get this Interceptor instead of the AoE damage, because on top of that, Annihilation to me has the healing. So as far as, in my opinion, the survivability of Annihilation is better. So this extra 30% reduction on AoE is kind of isn't too much of an issue, because you're healing yourself a little bit at a time. It kind of counters it. So I'd rather have the snare on Force Rim. But anyway, I figured I'd show you guys what I'm trying to accomplish in the Warzone as far as rotation goes. There was a question asked, how I felt about the rotation. Do I feel like it's a little bit harder to maintain? And I don't find it to be too bad, but of course, again, like I said, in war zones with the roots and snares and stuff, just trying to do your rotation on a target can be a challenge in and of itself. Excuse me. So I figured I'd go over at least what I'm trying to attempt to do. Let's say we're not being focused on a target. Generally, when the war zone starts, I mean, I don't have the bruising, so I can't charge up my fury. So right before I get into battle, I'll pop frenzy. I'll do it with the mouse so you can see the abilities that I'm going over, or that I'm doing. And of course, the first thing you'll do, I mean, you might throw out your snare to snare things. I'll go ahead and pop Berserker, leap in there. Then I'll do Force Strike, and then Raging Burst. Go ahead and do maybe the Force Crush to keep them from running away. That's usually the good thing to do. Pop in and Obliterate, and then start the rotation again. Then at this point, I can go ahead and get my my rage back up using Battering Assault. Maybe throw in a Force Rend that keeps them rooted there, and then we can go ahead and do Obliterate, and makes everything proc again. And now you can see I have Berserker back up, which charges up your rage, and boom, I mean, here you go. You're right back at it, Go ahead and do Crush, Force, and I have my Battering Assault. So I feel like as far as rage goes, it's you do get times like right here, but I would do Rend, and then a Force Cream, go ahead and builds it up, and boom, there we go. We can pop Berserk again, and now we got our rage back. So I really don't find, as far as being Rage Star with the spec, I don't find it to be that bad. I generally try to use Raging Blast most of the time. I don't do Smash that much. Maybe that's a fault. I mean, here I might have done it because there was 3 seconds left on it, but I still have other things I can do. I mean, only if I see 3 or more people clustered up, what I do is a boosted Smash, because the damage from Raging Burst is just fantastic. But that's pretty much what I've been doing with the spec, look, I'm already at 28 Fury. You know, I could have tossed in a vicious slash here and boom, and it's procced again. I could have just kept going. Now, of course, this is with nobody moving, but one of the first mistakes I was making when I was playing Fury was I wasn't using Force Crush that much. And Force Crush is pretty much something that you should be doing pretty much every time it's on. It's off a cooldown, because it really helps, you know, keep that guy in range. But that's kind of the rotation. I'll go ahead and go over it again. I mean, this is what I'm trying to do. I don't find that, again, I get rage starved that much with it. I mean, yeah, a lot of the abilities take a lot of damage, a lot of rage to use. Like, this takes 5. This takes, well, because it's procced, it didn't look like it take much. I mean, here I can even throw out a couple of these because I have Battering Assault up and ready to go. Then you could use Force Scream, and it'll give you 1. And then, boom. It's back up again. Do Berserk and go right back to town. So, I find it works pretty well. I always like to practice on the dummy. Now that's in the perfect world, right? Most of the time you leap at somebody, they push you back. Well, then you would do Obliterate to get right back in their face. Oh, I'm already moving my stuff around. I've come across some solo fights against sages. It happened at least once or twice where I know one time it happened where I was playing a Civil War and I was underneath middle and another sage came in and I was like, oh good, I get to test out to see how I do against a sage, and I didn't do too bad. I mean, I actually killed the guy. So I actually won that one. Now, I'm not saying that's the case for every sage I come across, but I was happy with the results. I felt like the control that he would have had over me, or that they seemed to have, wasn't as bad. It's just really bad when you go into a war zone and there's 3 or 4 sages or sorks and they all have the bubble pop. I find that, to me, the bubble pop stun is what's made the sage more overpowered than anything else. It's because, for melee anyway, because you jump in, you pop a bubble, you stun. You get out of that stun and the sage or sork next to that guy, his bubble pops, but now you stunned again. It feels like the resolve needs to be increased on that, because you can get bubble pop stun 3 or 4 times before your resolve is maxed out. And if, like I said, if you got a lot of sages and bubbles are popping left and right, that becomes doesn't become much fun for us. But anyway, that's the rotation. I'll be doing more Fury videos because I find that I'm going to try to stick with this one and see how it goes. I do like Annihilation, but the burst from Fury is really nice. So anyway, thanks for watching.